This is not just another video. This is a mental slap you didn't know you needed. I'm about to say what your friends won't, your family can't, and your comfort fears. You'll either hate me or thank me after this. But one thing's for sure, you won't forget it. Your mind is not neutral. It's not a playground. It's a battlefield. And the truth is, most people are showing up to war unarmed, walking into their day with no intention, no discipline, no mental armor, and wondering why life keeps beating them down. Wondering why they always feel behind, always feel overwhelmed, always feel like they're running in circles. It's because the real fight isn't out there. It's in here. And if you don't learn to fight it, it will own you. It will define you. It will destroy every dream you dare to imagine. Your mind is where everything begins and ends. And right now, it's either a prison or a weapon. If you're not training it, it's betraying you. It's feeding you excuses, telling you you're tired when you're just untrained, telling you it's not worth it when it's uncomfortable, telling you to give up the moment something doesn't go your way. And you listen not because it's right, but because it's familiar, because it's easier to stay small than to fight back. But let me tell you something, your comfort is lying to you. See, most people lose the battle before they even leave their bed. They wake up and immediately grab their phone. They consume instead of command. They let the world tell them how to feel, what to think, who to be. And by the time they get up, their whole identity has already been hijacked. You can't win a war when the enemy is the first voice you hear. That's why you need discipline. You need silence. You need moments where you take authority over your thoughts, before your thoughts take authority over you. But here's the real tragedy. The world teaches you to train your body, your resume, your skills, but not your mind. And that's why so many talented people fail. That's why smart people sabotage themselves. That's why gifted people never tap into their power, because they never learn how to win the war in their head. They think motivation will carry them. They think good intentions will be enough. But this world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. And execution starts in the mind. Your thoughts create your emotions. Your emotions shape your decisions. And your decisions build your life. So if you're wondering why your life is stuck, it's probably because your thinking is stuck. You're still repeating beliefs that were planted in you as a child. You're still living according to the rules of people who gave up on their dreams. You're still carrying the voice of that failure, that heartbreak, that trauma, and letting it write your story. That's not life. That's captivity. And the only way to break out is to wake up and realize this: every thought is not yours. Every voice in your head is not truth. You have to interrogate your mind like a soldier at the gate. Who sent you? What's your purpose here? If it's not building you, it's breaking you. If it's not pushing you forward, it's pulling you back. If it's not reminding you of who you're becoming, it's trying to resurrect the version of you that already died. You don't rise when things get easier. You rise when your mind gets stronger. When you stop asking for less pain and start training for more pressure. When you stop praying for the path to be smooth and start asking for the strength to walk it regardless. That's the shift. That's the moment everything changes. Not when the world stops attacking you, but when your mind stops betraying you. Because the truth is, the enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to convince you to destroy yourself. You know how he does it. Subtlety. Not with full-on defeat, but with delay. Distraction, confusion, procrastination dressed as perfectionism, fear dressed as logic. He doesn't need you to quit. He just needs you to hesitate long enough to miss the moment. He doesn't need you to fail, just to believe you're not ready. And every time you believe that lie, you surrender ground on the battlefield. You lose another day, another version of yourself you were meant to become. So what's the solution? Mental dominance, ruthless awareness. You have to sit in the silence and examine your thoughts like weapons. Sharpen what serves you, burn what breaks you, and discipline what distracts you. You don't need more motivation. You need more mastery. The mastery of focus, the mastery of repetition, the mastery of doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. That's what separates those who dream from those who do. And yes, it's hard. Training your mind is not glamorous. No one claps for you. No one sees the work. But when the pressure comes, and it will, you'll stand. When the world panics, you'll move with precision. When life hits hard, you'll hit back harder, because your mind won't collapse under pressure. It will command it. Your power isn't in your potential. It's in your pattern, your mental pattern. What you rehearse, you become. And if you keep rehearsing fear, weakness, and excuses, you'll become exactly what you fear. But if you start training power, clarity, conviction, every thought becomes a soldier. Every belief becomes a weapon. And your mind becomes the greatest advantage you have. You were not made to live soft. You were made to fight, to lead, to dominate. But the war begins within. And if you want to win out there, you have to master this first. You see, most people aren't lazy. They're just mentally undisciplined. Their thoughts have never been forced to submit to a greater mission. They've never been taught that just because you think something doesn't mean it's real. Just because you feel doubt doesn't mean you are doubt. Just because fear visits your mind doesn't mean it gets to build a home there. The problem is, we've been trained to escape instead of confront, distract instead of direct, numb instead of notice. That's why the average person scrolls more than they pray, consumes more than they reflect. They don't even know what they're thinking anymore. Their mind is on autopilot, and they wonder why life feels meaningless. It's because they've stopped driving. And when you stop steering your mind, you end up in places your soul was never meant to go. But here's the breakthrough. No one tells you. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's your instrument. It becomes whatever you teach it to become. You teach it power, it obeys. You teach it fear, it obeys. You teach it stillness, chaos, discipline, despair. It will echo back whatever you feed it. That means you're not at the mercy of your mental state, you're the architect of it. Every day, every thought, every second, you are training it, shaping it, refining it, whether you realize it or not. And this is where champions are made. Not in the spotlight, not in applause, but in silence. In the lonely hours when no one sees you choosing growth over comfort, prayer over panic, journaling over scrolling, discipline over drama, you become unstoppable. Not because life got easier, but because your mind got sharper. Because you stopped chasing the motivation high and started building mental muscle. Because you stopped waiting to feel ready and trained your brain to move anyway. That's what most people will never do. That's why they'll keep waiting, keep blaming, keep looking for shortcuts while you're sharpening your sword in the shadows. You want a better life? Train your mind. You want peace? Train your mind. You want clarity, strength, focus, purpose. It's all waiting behind the battlefield of your own thoughts. But you've got to stop surrendering. Stop making agreements with fear. Stop giving your past a vote in your future. And most of all, stop treating your mind like a suggestion box. It's not for random thoughts. It's a command center. You speak into it with authority. You lead it. You don't wait to be motivated. You program motivation into your system. With repetition, with discipline, with environment, with intention. You were never weak. You were just untrained. But now that you see the war, you can fight back. You can choose silence over noise, conviction over confusion, faith over fear. You can train your thoughts to follow your future, not your feelings. This is the call. Stop living by default. Start living by design. The battlefield is real, but so is your power. So when the fear creeps in, when the doubt tries to whisper, when your own mind starts spinning stories about why you're not ready, not worthy, not enough, you don't run from it anymore. You recognize it for what it is, an outdated program, a broken broadcast from a version of you that didn't know better. And instead of feeding it, you rewrite it. You sit in that discomfort and you say, not this time. You remind your mind who's in charge now. You remind your fear that it doesn't write your future. You remind your past that it has no passport to your destiny. This is the work that separates the ones who talk from the ones who rise. This is the difference between those who live accidental lives and those who live intentional ones. You either train your mind or it trains you. And the problem is, most people don't even know they've already been trained to settle, to shrink, to stay small, to think in circles instead of visions. But you're not most people. You're here for war, and not a war with the world, but a war within. A sacred, silent, private war to take back every inch of mental territory you surrendered. When life got hard and you didn't know how to cope. Now you do. Now you see. And when you see, you can change. You can interrupt the cycle. You can break the patterns. You can tear down the false beliefs that were never yours to carry. Because the truth is, your mind was never broken. It was just never built intentionally. It was shaped by noise, by trauma, by culture, by comparison. But today, it gets shaped by you, by your new standard, by your relentless commitment, by your refusal to live another year as the same version of yourself. No, you won't always feel strong, but you will always be stronger than the thoughts that tell you you're weak. No, you won't always feel clear, but clarity will come when you stop seeking comfort and start seeking mastery. And no, you won't always be motivated, but that's okay, because the goal is no longer motivation. The goal is domination of your thoughts, your routines, your patterns, your purpose. Your mind is not a cage, it's a weapon. But like any weapon, it must be trained. It must be pointed in the right direction. It must be disciplined. So the next time your thoughts try to sabotage you, don't negotiate, don't plead, don't overthink. Command, shift, move, because greatness doesn't wait for mental permission slips. It shows up, bleeding, shaking, doubting, but still showing up. And the ones who win, they're not the ones who had no fear. They're the ones who felt it and trained anyway. And maybe no one clapped for you when you started. Maybe no one believed in you, supported you, or even understood what you were building inside yourself. But hear me loud and clear, they weren't supposed to, because the battle happening inside your mind wasn't meant to be a public event. It was meant to be a private transformation, a sacred rewiring, a rebirth. See? People only celebrate what they can see, but your power, it starts in the invisible, in the silent choices, in the lonely nights, in the mornings you get up without applause. Every time you override the thought that says, why try, you sharpen your blade. Every time you show up in discipline when motivation is absent, you fortify your foundation. And every time you stay true to your vision while your reality still looks the same, you prove to the universe that you're not faking greatness, you're becoming it. You can't afford to think casually anymore. The world is too loud, the distractions are too endless, and the war for your focus is too fierce. If you don't own your mind, the world will lease it, and the rent will cost you your peace, your purpose, and your potential. But if you do own it, if you take back control, if you discipline your thoughts like a warrior sharpens his sword, then nothing can stop you. Not failure, not rejection, not the voices from your past or the noise of the present, because a trained mind doesn't flinch at adversity. It leans in, it thrives. It sees every obstacle as a rep for strength, not a signal to quit. You weren't built to live in mental chains. You weren't built to bow to every anxious thought, every fleeting feeling. You were built to command, to lead, to build a reality from vision, not from fear. So stop telling yourself you're not ready. You are. Stop waiting for peace to come from outside. Build it inside. Stop letting your history be the ceiling of your identity. You're not here to repeat cycles. You're here to break them. You're not here to survive. You're here to dominate. Because the truth is, the most powerful version of you, they're already alive inside you. But you'll never meet them if you keep surrendering to the weak one that keeps speaking louder. Your mind is a battlefield. But now you know the truth. You were never the victim. You were the weapon. If you're still here, it means something inside you is waking up. Finally, not the version of you that's comfortable, not the version of you that's addicted to excuses, but the version of you that's tired of lying to themselves, tired of making peace with mediocrity, tired of being the slave to thoughts that were never yours to begin with. Let me ask you something brutal. Who taught you to doubt yourself? Who convinced you that your dreams were too much? that being average was safer, that shrinking yourself would protect you, that wasn't wisdom. That was programming. From broken people, from fearful systems, from a world that profits off your insecurity. Because the second you step into full belief, full focus, full commitment, you become dangerous. Dangerous to a society built on conformity. Dangerous to a culture that rewards numbness and distraction. Dangerous to the old identity inside you that only knew survival. You don't need permission to think differently. You need discipline to think intentionally. To guard your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. To stop entertaining thoughts that sabotage your growth. To stop running mental scripts of failure, regret, and comparison. You see, every time you say, I can't, your brain takes that as a command. It doesn't ask questions. It just obeys. So what have you been commanding your mind to do? Shrink, hesitate, overthink, stay small, or rise, attack, focus, build? Because let me tell you something most people will never say to your face, your future is not in your goals. It's in your mental patterns. You can visualize all you want. You can write affirmations until your hands cramp. But if your thinking is still weak, scattered, and sabotaged, nothing changes. This is why some people grind for years and still don't evolve. They change their habits, but never their mindset. They change their schedule, but not their self-image. They change their environment, but not their internal programming. But that's not going to be you. Not anymore. You're going to learn to silence the noise, not because the world got quieter, but because your mind got stronger. You're going to become unrecognizable to the person you were last year, not by luck, but by mental warfare. You're going to dominate, not because you had better opportunities, but because you trained your thoughts like an elite athlete trains their body. And when people ask how you did it, you'll smile, because they'll never understand the battles you fought in silence, the lies you had to unlearn, the nights you rewired your mind while the rest of the world slept. They'll never see the war you won because it happened inside you, but you'll know. And that knowledge will be your crown, your legacy, your weapon, your freedom. Every day you wake up in a war zone, not with bombs or bullets, but with beliefs. The beliefs you absorbed from broken parents, from teachers who never saw your light, from a society that rewards mediocrity and mocks ambition. And the worst part, you didn't just hear the lies, you started repeating them to yourself. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. It's too late for me. These aren't thoughts, they're weapons, and you've been stabbing yourself with them for years without even realizing it. But today that stops, because the most powerful person in the world is not the one with money, followers, or fame. It's the one who controls their thoughts, who can walk through chaos with clarity, who doesn't fold when fear speaks, but speaks back louder, who doesn't let pain become identity, who understands that feelings are visitors, but truth is the foundation. The truth is your mind was never weak, it was untrained. You've been taught to scroll, not to sit with silence, to numb discomfort, not to master it, to chase validation, not values, to react emotionally, not respond intelligently. But you are not your first thought. You are your next decision. And the second you learn how to pause, redirect, and take authority over your inner world, everything external starts bowing to that power. You don't need a perfect plan. You need mental precision. You need to be the kind of person who can walk into any room, any storm, any setback and say, I've already won this because I trained for this. In my mind, in silence, when nobody was watching. You won't be shaken by rejection because your worth is no longer rented by other people's opinions. You won't be paralyzed by fear because you've learned to dance with it, not run from it. You won't be seduced by comfort because your mind is loyal to your future, not your feelings. This is not about fake confidence. It's about earned clarity, the kind that comes from being brutally honest with yourself, the kind that comes from doing the inner work when no one is clapping, the kind that turns you into someone even you admire. And if you keep showing up like this, training like this, thinking like this, the world won't be able to ignore you because you'll walk different, move different, speak different, and they'll feel it even before they hear it. The hardest war you'll ever fight is the one where no one claps when you win. It's the war inside your mind, the one that starts the second you wake up, the second your alarm goes off, You're ambushed by thoughts that tell you to snooze, to stay comfortable, to play it safe. And here's the truth no one says out loud. Most people surrender to those first few thoughts before their feet even hit the floor. You don't lose when life hits you. You lose when your thoughts convince you not to hit back. And that's exactly why you're stuck, because your enemy has been living inside your own head, wearing your voice, speaking in your tone, and lying with your memories. But understand this, your mind isn't evil. It's just unguarded. You've let anyone walk into it, speak into it, and rearrange your identity based on their broken perspective. Every failure you've magnified, every insult you've internalized, every limit you've inherited, none of that is you. That's programming. And if you don't reprogram it, it will keep running your life while you keep wondering why you never break through. You cannot change your life if you don't change your default thoughts. You cannot build a future while dragging around the language of your past. And if you're serious about becoming someone unstoppable, you need to stop asking the world for permission to think powerfully. This is where most people fail. They build bodies but ignore their beliefs. They chase goals but avoid growth. They repeat affirmations but never uproot their assumptions. You can't fix your life by decorating your prison. You've got to tear down the old walls. The belief that you're too late. The thought that you're behind. The voice that says you're not ready. Who told you that? And more importantly, why did you believe it? Because your belief gave it power. But now your belief can take that power back. Start thinking like your future is already watching you. Every decision you make, every thought you allow, every action you take when no one's clapping. That's what builds mental dominance. That's what separates you from the 99% who are always distracted, always reacting, always blaming, always consuming. You weren't built for that. You were built to command. Not just your life, but your mind. And if you don't seize control of your internal narrative, someone else will always write the story for you and you'll be stuck living chapters that don't even belong to you. So choose right now. Will you keep losing to your own thoughts? Or will you rise? Not with fake confidence, but with discipline. Forged in silence, when no one is watching. Because the world will only respect the version of you that you command with your thoughts first. And you don't just change your mindset once. You train it like a soldier daily, relentlessly, until your inner voice becomes your greatest weapon. Every time you hesitate to act, every time you let fear speak louder than your purpose, you are surrendering ground in the battlefield of your mind. You may not see it immediately, but those little decisions, they compound. Not taking the shot, not saying what needs to be said, not doing the hard thing. You think it's harmless, that you'll get another chance. But what you're really doing is training your mind to obey fear. And the more you obey it, the more your confidence starves, the more your courage rots, the more your identity dissolves into a version of yourself that looks strong on the outside but is quietly breaking inside. This war you're in, it's not a one-time fight. It's not a motivational moment. It's an everyday grind against the excuses your comfort is addicted to. And hear me, comfort will disguise itself as kindness. It will say you've done enough when you haven't. It will say you're tired when you're just undisciplined. It will say rest now when what you really need is resistance. Because resistance is the only way a muscle grows. And your mind is a muscle. You either train it or it trains you to settle. Think about who you were 5 years ago. Are you proud of how far you've come, or are you haunted by how little you've changed? That answer should shake something in you, because the person you're becoming is being built right now by what you tolerate, by what you allow yourself to believe, and by what you do when it's just you versus your own reflection. That mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your followers, your excuses, your past. It only reflects one thing, your standards. And if your standards don't scare your comfort, they'll never shape your destiny. This is your moment to wake up. You don't need more motivation. You need a mental revolution, a refusal to be ruled by doubt, a rejection of the identity that was handed to you by other people's pain, and a ruthless commitment to becoming the kind of person your future won't just admire, but depend on. Because the world doesn't need another voice echoing weakness. It needs one that declares war on it. If something inside you felt exposed, good, that wasn't pain. That was truth breaking through the lies you've lived with. Because this isn't about being motivated for a day. This is about refusing to lose the war inside your own mind ever again. So write this in the comments right now. I reclaim my mind. I rewrite my future. Because if you don't declare it, your doubt will. And if this video hit you in the middle of your private battle, then let me be clear. You weren't weak, you were being tested. And this was your wake-up call. Now click the next video, because the war's not over. And the next one, it's your next weapon.